Good afternoon. We are going to talk about the students dropout, specifically at a university level. Uh, as we know, dropout is defined as the final abandonment of either academic training or professional degree students' postponement. So the data collected will be directed to find out which are the main factors or the main reasons why students abandon their careers and the reason behind the total academic students abandon. For the target population, it will be for university students. So the context factors like their economical possibilities, their own interests, guidance in academic terms will be taken into account because they play a very important role in the answer to the questions that is be stated. Okay, we have and we develop three objectives. The first one is to identify the different causes from the students dropout. The second one is to identify the factors that influence students who end up dropping out. And finally, we have to establish the dropout rate for college students. Okay, for the questions, um, we choose three. Which factors are affecting students' permanency on universities? The second one is, are universities limiting the students' possibilities to start, continue, or even finishing their academic careers? And the third one is, do students receive enough guidance to choose their career that fits them the most? The research question, we have two. The first one is, what is the main factor behind college students dropout? And the second one, we want to know, why is students dropout a phenomenon in Colombia? Okay, for the data collection instruments, we have we decide to make two questionnaires, one for students and another for teachers. The students questionnaire was made by email with different students that dropped out from private and public universities, and the teachers questionnaire was made in the distrital university with teachers from different careers. For the students questionnaire, we have the first three questions: the age, the genre, and the educational level. And we develop six questions. The first one is, which was the main reason why you drop out? How many people do you live with? Which is your socioeconomic status? The fourth is, are you financially responsible for someone? The fifth, would you like to continue studying? And finally, we have, do you consider that having a professional degree is important? Explain why. And the target population, as I said before, it's for students who have dropped out of university, whose age are from 18 to 24 years, and it would be taken into account if the students belongs to a public or private university.
For the students questionnaire, we designed six questions. The first one is, which was the main reason why you dropped out? So this is the most important question because it helps to achieve one of our objectives, that is to identify causes for the students dropped out. And the answers for this question provided us enough information in order to do it. So that's why it is really important. Then we have the second question, that is, how many people do you live with? So we used this question because it can be useful to know about like the family situation of the student, and that kind of information let us know if the reason of the dropout has to be with economic factors. So for example, if the student have brothers and sisters and the family cannot afford like the study of all the members of the family, or maybe if the student have to work to pay the rent or his or her studies in case of living alone. So that's why we used it. Then we have the third question, that is which is your socioeconomic status? So this question give us information of the financial status of the student. So it is more like a complement to the previous question. Then we have the fourth question, that is, are you financially responsible for someone? So we just wanted to know if the student is financially in charge of someone, so that is if they have children, because that can be an important factor for the university dropped out. Then we have the fifth question, that is, would you like to continue studying? So we wanted to know the interests of the student, if she or he is planning to continue studying in the same or another program, providing us their perspective about making a degree or studying in general. And this question is actually complemented by the last one, that is, do you consider that having a professional degree is important? Explain why. So we wanted to have more information about those perspectives of the student. And that's all for the student's questionnaire. Then we have the teacher's question, that is just one. So we wanted them to rate from 1 to 3 some common beliefs about students dropping out. So we have first, using drugs, then we have getting pregnant, then joining gangs, then academic difficulty, then health issues, then disengagement, and the last one is transition. So the idea with this question for teachers is to know like their perspectives about this topic, about this problematic, maybe to see like the other part, the other side of this problematic. So we wanted just mainly to know like their perspectives about it.
The graphics we saw before illustrate teachers' and students' points of view about university dropout. Right now, we're just going to focus on students' point of view. So, the information they gave us was divided into big groups. The first one is socioeconomic factors, and the second one it's pure academic factors. Pie charts number 2, 3, and 4 depict some different social factors that influence university dropout, such as lack of money or social status. And pie charts 1, 5, and 6 are directed to academic. Deciding the wrong career and education high costs are the personal factors that affect the most the dropout decision, with more than 50% of the students' answers. We think that this could be because the education in our country is one of the most expensive in our continent. But a lot of people doesn't know that it's the second one in our continent retrieving the investment. A lot of people should know it because they think that go further in your studies it's not worth it because you spend a lot of money, but that's not completely true. In terms of career election, it can be seen that secondary schools just worry about their students' future when they're about to graduate. And that's something we have to change because young people, it's taking that decision too rashly. And actually, I think that is the first important decision that you have in your adult life. So schools should help or guide their students. All another factors that were taken into account were the reason for going to university and the importance of having a degree and professional development. Um, they were taken into account because people think that they are important to have to get a well-paid job. To conclude, students' reasons for dropping out of university are not just socioeconomic or just personal. Sometimes are both. But there was another factor that wasn't taken into account, that is the lack of culture in our country about getting higher education in order to get better jobs. A lot of people just think about work to have money, but they don't think further. They don't think in their future. They just think right now, having money and having their best life. But they don't take into account that going further in your studies, it's the first step in order to have a well-paid job. So maybe that's something we should do as teachers, to educate our students to think about um, study more and more and more. So maybe that's something we have to do. And also, we can blame universities too, because they don't have enough programs to help students who have difficulties to continue their students. Maybe we should follow Universidad del Bosque example. They help their students to get jobs related with their careers. So they are learning, they are they are having money, and they are studying. So maybe a lot of universities should do it more.
Okay, on the teacher's questionnaire analysis, we made a scale from 1 to 3 to determine which factors were the most relevant at the moment of students dropping out. Those factors were using drugs, becoming pregnant, joining gangs, academic difficulty, health issues, disengagement, and transition. Transition is where the student gets into an academic career, but not to finish it, only to spend some time there until he gets something else, and then as soon as he gets it, he just drops out. So what we could get from this questionnaire was that from the teacher's point of perspective, the factors that impact the most to students drop out are the personal ones, personal issues like drugs abuse, lack of motivation, or pregnancy in the female population, because those ones are the ones that causes the other problems we've considered before from the teacher's point of perspective. We considered that the teacher's opinion was very important because they are the closest individual to students, so they may have a clearer idea of why this phenomenon is occurring in universities. Now, concluding all the information we've gathered before, we can say that this phenomenon it's based or caused um, because of two big problems. The first one it's the money, the economic problems, because since the students since students cannot afford their academic careers, they have to or they are forced to drop out. But we consider that money is not it's a lesser impactful problem because they may not have money, but they don't lose the motivation. So probably as soon as they have a job or they get money back, they can get back to their universities and continue studying. Now, the other problem we consider was very impactful and was the poor decision making. The poor decision making it's considered like the root of this problem since most of the factors we were taking into consideration before are derived from this one. Now, so as I've said before, the we consider that the phenomenon's root is poor decision making besides the economic factor. Now, on recommendations, we made three recommendations, one for students, one for schools, and one for universities. For students, our recommendation was for them to get a lot of information as soon as they were about to get their bachelor degree or maybe before that, so they can have a clearer idea, a clearer panorama on which career they would like to study, what are their interests, and also their skills, so they can know which career fits them the best and start to taking that important decision. Now, for schools, our recommendation is to give them a lot of guidance to students who are about to get into that university life, because most of the cases, students are not given any information, and for this reason, they just go blindfolded to pick a career that probably they are going to regret uh, later on. And for the universities, our recommendation is to give the students some advantages so they can keep on studying, just in case that they have economical problems, so they can have some part-time jobs inside the university, or to have some guarantees inside it, maybe advantages to get a scholarship so they can feel motivated to keep studying. And if they are going through any problem, they can actually have some help there and not just being by themselves in this process. That was pretty much the research about students dropout. Thank you for hearing us.